The Clashing Conferences Podcast. Let's go.
Water.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original Clashing Conferences podcast. This is the NFC East version. Don't get it confused with the Daniel Jones podcast that Chris does solo every once in a while. But we got the same four NFC East reps back with me this year. We got Gregg representing the Eagles. We got Randy down there with the Cowboys. We got Paul representing the I'm going to get that right one of these days, the Commanders. And we got Chris, of course, Topher Pete, representing the Giants. So excited to get this going. I can't wait for you guys to unleash about 1 million text messages worth of off-season discussion and pent-up frustration on each other. Before we do, I just want to remind everybody out there watching that we are growing this thing. Since we have left the air with our last episode with this original crew, we've done baseball, we've done basketball, we've brought in new people that we did not even know existed 12 months ago to our platform as both guests and permanent hosts and permanent team reps. So if you're watching and you're interested in what we're doing, if you want to come on as a team rep, or if you have a group of friends, you want to get your own complete show together, we're looking to do that and to expand. So please reach out on any platform that you're watching us. You can send a message, or a producer will touch base with you and get you started. So with all that introduction being said, let's unleash this thing. Topher, you over there with the nice setup, and Randy always thought you looked pretty damn cool to begin with. Why don't we let you start?
I want to add a little bit to what you said. On top of this thing growing, we met a lot of awesome people, a lot of new friends, like you said, that we would have never had. But on top of it, we got together, hung out, had a special trip where we went and hung out with Lewis for the Iron Leg, and that's things I would like to see us to do in the future, and get to meet new people. I'd like to do it with you fellas, like we did. We hung out and did PJs and stuff, but get out for an event and get together, that'd be a lot of fun. And as for starting for the G-Men, I want to pass.
Imagine that.
I like to pass to Randy because, he always comes out of the woodworks here, and I'm sure he has still some bad feelings in his stomach from that ass whooping he took in the first round last year in the playoffs against the Packers. So, Randy, why don't you start?
Well, Chris, I can't say. Last year you guys were so dumbfounded that I wasn't disappointed. I'm going to start this year with the same thing. We won the NFC East. We made it to the playoffs. We had a great record, and we had a bad game in the playoffs. Again, it is kind of the Cowboys' forte lately, but yet I still am proud of what we accomplished last year. Still proud of what we accomplished last year. I'd like to say we're going to build on it this year. We'll see. At the end of it, if we can play like we did, for most of the season last year, I'll be very happy. Yeah, I'd love to see us win a playoff. I'd love to see us win a Super Bowl. There's 32 teams that are just as eager to win Super Bowls as ours. 32 teams that are going to play. 32 teams that are going to play very hard to win the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter what team you have. Ask Gregg and the Dream Team. It doesn't matter what team you have.
The Dream Team.
They can always lose.
I remember what happened last time we had a Dream Team.
They can always lose. But Chris, everybody but you looks at the Giants right now and says, I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, honestly, again, I know a lot of people. Hold on. It's my turn to talk. You gave it to me. A lot of people are looking at you and saying that Washington's going to be at the bottom. I don't know. There's not a lot of
going to be at the bottom. They're going to be better, but they're going to be at the bottom.
Excuse me. This is my turn to talk. I don't see a lot of talent coming from your team right now. I see players that you lost that were big players. I see some added things that are a maybe, but I still see
who's the big player we lost.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon.
So again, we don't. Chris, I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on to the Commanders with another rookie quarterback who may or may not be. Stop! I'm talking. another rookie quarterback who may or may not be better than Sam Howell. We have no idea, and really not a whole lot else on offense besides. I guess you guys have a new offensive coordinator. Is that correct?
We have a new everything. We have a new coach. We have all new
Okay.
coordinators. We have 50% new players.
I guess we'll see if you change it at the top makes a difference.
One of the main reasons
and-
why
We got
they're
a new
not
name on
gonna
the
be ahead
stadium
of the
today.
Giants.
New name on the
Yeah,
stadium today.
I saw that Northwest Stadium, and you guys are in the East. But
They need a
anyway,
new stadium. They don't need new. They need well, you need a new players, but you need a new stadium too.
Greg
you
never
never
is
have
long.
water. You never have sewer.
Listen, stop, Chris. I'm talking.
Well,
Greg.
what about something interesting? Let's go.
Greg, all I gotta say is if you guys finish at all like you did the last half of the year, I don't know if I have a worry to worry about this season. Besides the fact that we probably will lose in one of the first couple of rounds of playoffs. But I look at this division right now, unlike last year, is probably one of the easier divisions to win in.
Wow. So you're going back to back for the first time in what? What is it, like 12 years, 15 years?
It's been a while. I think so. Back to back.
Randy, I love your optimism. Like you use the word build. You realize that's something that the Cowboys didn't do.
Yeah,
like,
you
they didn't
build,
anything.
you add on to it or add new
At
bricks.
least you kept playing today. I mean,
how many of you guys run fantasy football teams ever?
We all
25 years of fantasy football.
Let me tell you, who spends their time in a scrap heap picking up bums all year? People that have losing teams do. When you got a team that's a winning team, you tend not to pick up as much. And guess what? You tend to win more. Why? Because when you got a good team, you don't have to make a ton of moves. I'm glad you guys made a ton of moves. You had to.
I'm pointing out the simple fact that you said the Cowboys are building on the good team they had last year. You didn't
do anything.
Get anything.
Old Zeke Elliott.
I think
he changed his number. I mean, maybe.
I think I said I hope we build on what we did last year. I believe is what I said.
We're going to check the tape on that. -2 points off the bat.
I love the fantasy analogy. That works for me.
Thank you, Mike. It makes sense.
But that doesn't work.
You're higher up on the waivers, right? And you get the better option.
No,
because if you have great players, you don't need to replace them.
There you go. It's exactly right, Mike. In the end of it,
Randy, I wasn't saying I agreed with the Cowboys having the greatest players and not needing to replace anybody, but I liked your analogy.
But seriously, I mean, you look at which quarterbacks we're thinking about, or teams are thinking about replacing quarterbacks this year. Not the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Dallas Cowboys. I know.
What do you mean, Dallas? Might be the last year for Dak. What do you mean, Dallas?
I know one team that was thinking about changing the quarterback.
You guys all told me last year he'll be gone, and he's starting this year. He's paid, and he's also a team captain. So shut up.
There was a lot of talk about Daniel Jones not starting this year or getting traded or cut.
From you guys, from people that don't know nothing about Daniel Jones and the Giants.
Yeah. You're right. Everybody,
if you watched the Giants on Hard Knocks, they kind of talked about it themselves.
They kicked around the idea, but nobody was. There was nobody.
It wasn't just outside
it's
people.
It's not just us. It's not just us.
Due diligence. Why wouldn't you? It's $1 billion thing. I mean, $1 million.
Well, then don't say they didn't. If it's due diligence, either way.
Every year. Why wouldn't you? Did they do it? Did they pull the trigger?
Well, you just said nobody's doing it, but people right here.
Well, I mean.
Why wouldn't
they would be failing us as an organization if they weren't looking at options?
But you didn't say that.
But you guys been telling me since week 1 last year that he sucks. He's a bum. He ain't going to be there. They paid him $40 million.
And
then you told me it was overpaid.
And what has he done since then?
He is overpaid.
Highest paid quarterback now, which I was right about that.
Chris, what has he done? What has he done since last year? Week 1.
What do you mean? He hasn't nothing. The season hasn't started yet. He's back. He made it back.
Since week 1 of last year, you're right. He did nothing.
Yeah, he got hurt. He got hurt.
2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions
after like 2 weeks.
No, hold on, Paul. That's not true. He threw 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's not true. He didn't do nothing.
Yeah, well, the team was totally in shambles. He never played like you guys all last year were saying. Look, DeVito and Tyrod, everybody's playing better. And
so were we wrong?
That line was way better the last 7 or 8 weeks of the season than it was the first.
We are 5 minutes in, and we're already talking about the offensive line.
We're going to talk about whatever you guys say because I have a lot to talk about. Come at me, I'm coming right back.
I just don't understand your theory. Like,
we
say that he's not good. He won't have a good year. He does that exact same thing, but you say we're wrong.
Why? You're not looking at the content. Why did it happen?
Because he's an injury-prone quarterback.
No, because Andrew Thomas
hurt.
got hurt on the first drive against the Cowboys when he tried to run down a blocked extra point. That's what happened. And then our offensive line was the worst in history of the NFL. They banged up 2 quarterbacks, and we had a third string playing. Who, might I add, that team had a better year than you the second half of the year last year.
Cool.
And you go on and on like it doesn't matter.
I feel like we're doing this podcast the day after the Super Bowl.
It absolutely matters. Your second half of the year sucked. And there's a very good chance your first half of this year might suck.
Well, I mean, I guess to come back at you, like just kind of putting it out there.
You always say I'm delusional, but
no, but you some of the stuff you say you are.
Look at the content.
Why
did he suck?
Oh, I'm going to tell you why the Eagles sucked the last second half of the year too. You let us talk about it because we're overrated. Really, that's what it was.
That's why they.
Well, that's part of the reason the coach was an idiot.
Didn't even trust him. Couldn't even let him pick his coordinators. They gave him babysitters.
Well, that's where you're wrong. They brought in Jalen Hurts guys that was his high school quarterback coach and college kind of guru, and it wasn't clicking. So they got rid of all that. We got a whole new offensive system. We brought in all new coaching. We brought in a new defensive coordinator. We brought in a lot of young talent.
A lot of new. Takes a while to get.
We did.
I thought that's the idea. Bring in new guys.
And your defense was terrible the second half of the year last year. Terrible.
Our defense wasn't good at all last year.
Terrible.
It really wasn't. It wasn't good at all. Hence the reason that they made the changes that they made. So I'm optimistic. I'm excited. I'm trying not to get too optimistic. But yeah, I mean,
me because I'm delusional.
Yes.
Listen,
I'm optimistic because we were in the playoffs the year before. Last year was in shambles. This roster is way better than the one we had the year we were in the playoffs. Yes, I'm optimistic. If our quarterback stays healthy, I'm very optimistic.
Gotcha.
Very.
No, I mean, I think that if he can stay healthy in your offensive line, I've said this before to you. I think that they're going to be better than what a lot of the people are predicting. A lot of people are predicting you guys to win 4 or 5 games and be at the bottom of the NFL. I don't see that. I see that about winning 8 games, 9 games. I told you that already. Do I think you're making the playoffs like you said you are? No, I don't. Whether you're healthy or not healthy.
That's in a perfect world, though. Like, even if Mike asks us to do predictions like last year, I have to do it based off a perfect world, right? I'm not going to sit there and dance around like Paul says I do and say, well, if we're healthy, yeah, if we ain't healthy, my predictions are not going to come true.
The appendix of all your asterisks that you add is like an entire novel.
Dude, everything you bitched about me last year, you did. You're doing in baseball right now about the Braves. You're doing it right now about the Braves in baseball.
But I'm not making concessions. I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs.
Everything you ragged on me about is exactly what you're doing in the baseball podcast about the Braves.
Not one single bit.
If we were healthy.
Not
if
one
we
single
were good.
Nope.
But the Braves are still in contention, even though they're not healthy. The Braves have been hit by
976 games.
Terrible injuries, they're still going to make the playoffs, and they're still one of the better teams in baseball. The Giants, you can't say that about the Giants last year.
Football's a totally different. You're not comparing.
You are
comparing. You just compared.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, but when it comes down to the players you lose, look who you lost. Look who we lost. Like main people.
We lost a Cy Young and an MVP.
You did. We lost our best players in the position.
We lost a lineman, Paul.
You can't compare that. A Pro Bowl lineman. We lost our starting quarterback. We lost our starting lineman. We lost so many linemen. Dude, we had guys playing that shouldn't even be sniffing the field. They shouldn't even be on a practice squad. That's who was playing. McKeithen and stuff.
I just listening. I'm going to just shift the conversation for a minute. I heard that Saquon's hurt and might miss a couple games.
Probably. He's going to miss games.
No.
Every single year.
Not yet.
He's never played a full season.
So what are you saying? Over or under 8 games he starts this year?
I say over.
Over.
Yeah.
Guaranteed over.
Over.
He hasn't had it for the past 3 years.
I think it's interesting. I saw a quote today from one of Chris's legends, and I quote, "He's going to be great. That's why we hate him going to the Eagles. If he was washed up, we wouldn't give a damn." Tiki Barber.
I knew that was going to be Tiki.
He's also the guy that said that he's dead to me, and he was joking, and everybody got all upset about. Like, yeah, he's a hell of a talent, dude. He's a great person. but he's a liar.
He's a
He
liar.
didn't want to be a Giant for life, because if he did, he would have took the contract we gave him the year we went to the
disagree.
playoffs.
I don't care if he
100%.
runs over cats with a lawnmower. If he can freaking play, they're gonna sign him.
Yeah, but that's fine too.
No owner cares about anything you do in your personal
No.
life.
What I'm saying is, we were never going to sign him for the amount of money that he got, and you overpaid for him.
Chris, if you watch Hard Knocks, it looks like he would have maybe signed with you guys
if we would have
for
matched
11.5 million. $500,000 less than what the Eagles gave him. He would have
told him. They told him, this is the year that we went to the playoffs and lost to you in the playoffs. They offered him a contract. He fired that agent. It was that girl he had. They said, this is the highest contract you're ever going to get from us. And he turned it down.
Well, nobody.
And then he got tagged the next year.
None of the quarterbacks knew what was going to happen to the quarterback.
So so when you texted me when this stuff happened on Hard, I'm like, what are you talking about? I knew this ain't no surprise to me.
Yeah.
He's not worth what you gave him. And if he gets hurt, I'm happy with my 3 backs.
But if he doesn't,
we're in a better shape now than we were last year.
But if your offense ran through one person last year, that's obvious.
And any year that we went through him, what happened? We didn't make the playoffs. The only year.
But here's the thing: he's going to be our third option. He's the third option in our offense.
No, it doesn't matter
in our offense.
I think Saquon was a problem for us because I feel like we had. Yeah, right. He was the number one playmaker. So
he was the only one on your team.
Right.
So
he was the number one wide receiver. We didn't have anything like that.
You put 8 in the box and you're
so our game plans were based around Saquon, right? So teams stopped him. Right. So that's why it was nobody's worrying about game planning around Singletary. Now we can be a full team. We got a better offensive line and we have a 3-headed running back. I'm very happy in the situation we're in. We're in a better situation now than we were last year.
You couldn't take the greatest aspects of those 3 together and get a player that's better than Saquon.
Maybe not individually, but we'll be a better rushing team this year than we were last year. And Singletary, I already proved to Mike, had a better year than Saquon the last couple years. He averages more yards per carry.
Do you know why? I just explained that to you.
It doesn't matter
Any defense going against the Eagles,
we don't just have one player now. We have a good receiving core. We have a one wide receiver.
My point is that's why you're saying Barkley had bad numbers. I'm telling you, that is why. Because teams didn't have to worry about anybody else. Now he's the third option. I tried that with
Mike in the basketball pod, and I told him about that with Jalen Brunson, but he said the only reason why Jalen Brunson was good is because of the usage. But yeah, that's exactly
148 shots.
Nope, that's exactly the way it was with the Knicks. There was nobody else to worry about. He's the only person, but nobody could stop him.
The most shots in the NBA in several seasons.
Been top 3 in the voting.
Should have made the Olympic
team. Here's where you lose me on Saquon, Chris. Here's where you lose me on Saquon, and tell me if I'm wrong here.
I'll be honest.
You never ever had a bad thing to say about Saquon when he was a Giant. But the day he goes to the Eagles, he's no good anymore. He's not worth it.
I didn't say it like that.
We're going to be a better team without him. That's crazy.
I don't like the way he handled it because
that doesn't make him a crappy player.
It doesn't. He is a good player, but I know what type of player he is. He's a flashy player, runs east and west. He wants to hit the big home run. He wants to jump people. That's why he gets hurt.
I think you'd take him back in a heartbeat if you could trade him 1-for-1 for all 3 Giants running backs tomorrow.
Not all 3, but I would take him 1-for-1 for Singletary. Absolutely.
And it's going to be.
I think anybody in the league would do that.
And I think it's going to be second and third down, and he's going to get the ball.
Maybe not 49ers.
He's going to get the ball, and he's going to look, and he's not going to see 2 guys waiting to tackle him right in front of his face, and he's going to go nuts. I think he's
disputing that.
I think he's going to have an excellent year.
And but then now you got AJ Brown who's going to want the ball all the time. We already know how he acts when he don't get the ball. You got your quarterback that doesn't listen to your coach. And you don't have nowhere near the offensive line you had last year.
We lost an All-Pro center, Hall of Famer, got it, but we slid a Pro Bowl guard whose natural position as center moves over. We got the kid from the Jets who's the biggest guard in the league. Our average height and weight on our O-line is 6'5", 320 pounds.
Still.
We have the biggest O-line
you're going to have a good
league.
Offensive line. I just don't. It's not the way it was last year.
Let me also say Williams still hasn't signed with the 49ers yet. So it's like there's a lot of missing pieces here in the NFC.
Greg, you're a very talented football team. I'm not. You have been for years. Like I'm not disputing that. I just don't think. I think there's too much there. I don't think it's going to work.
I think you
don't
forgot your.
coach can
I
handle
thought you. I think you forgot your thought, and you couldn't find
No,
anything
the
else.
truth of the matter is, I think it all revolves around the coach. And then you guys like to beat me up about DJ. Why do you want to limp along? Why are you limping along with a coach that sucks?
So here's the
Why
thing.
are you bringing in coordinators to
if we win 10 games,
when he hates your starting quarterback that you paid all these millions and millions of dollars for, that you think's the greatest in the world, MVP candidate, that you even brought his coach in when he played in high school, but you want to limp along with this head case.
I'm saying right now, if we don't win more than 10 games, he's gone. He is. He's now a GM. He's not calling any plays. He's a GM coach is what he is. Do I love the guy? No, I don't. I don't love Nick Sirianni. I don't love him at all.
You did last year. I told you you said I was an idiot.
No, I didn't. No, I don't think I've ever called you an idiot for that.
Delusional.
Chris, have you ever called Gregg an idiot or stupid?
Just the other day in the text, and he got all upset.
Oh, I was upset. I was mad.
I knew you were. I was telling Mike. I knew you were.
Man, dude, I love you. I ain't mad at you. Got nothing but love for you.
Oh, this guy. We'll get into the Jahan Dotson situation later.
Overrated.
Oh God. All right, Paul. What do you
one
look
man's trash is another man's treasure.
Listen. Again, we'll teach you all about the slot receivers versus the outside receivers.
Wandale Robinson's going to be just fine.
And we'll teach you all that good stuff. And what position is his natural position? He can play outside. He can play inside. He is a stud number 3 receiver.
Then why would they take him away from a rookie quarterback?
Because that coach did not like him down there. He was a number 1 defensive minded. He was a first round draft pick from another organization, not another organization, another regime. We'll call it. He was out of favor there. They hated him. He hated them, and he needs a fresh start. He's outside of the Philadelphia area. He's from Penn State, and Saquon said, "Give him a call," and that's what we did.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, trust me, I was not for that. But if he's not a fit and he's not going to play and he doesn't fit into what their scheme is, and everybody knows with every college, NFL, everything, if everybody wants to bring their own guys. So, I mean, I understand that. To me, it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, you're right. I mean, his catch per attempt or whatever, like his target percentage and catch percentage, wasn't like it did. He didn't jive with the team last year. I really didn't actually even realize it, to be honest, because I think we were focusing so much on the quarterback. But when you start looking at the stats, it shows that his target percentage, he just wasn't catching the balls. And I'm not saying they were dropped. It just wasn't in sync. It's almost like, and this is a terrible analogy, but it is on a much smaller scale in proportion to how Dak and CD started last year. It just weren't on the same page. And the new regime, it's not the kind of scheme that they wanted to run. Now, do I think we have anything better to replace him with already on the team? I do not. Just because the kid's last name is McCaffrey doesn't mean he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
I was going to ask you.
That's what they're going with. Him, and I can't remember the name of the other. They got the Osiris, whatever, Zacchaeus from who was on the Vikings 2 years ago. Not terrible, but I mean, and now there's rumors that now that Terrence Marshall got dropped by Carolina, that we'll pick him up. And I'm like, why not? We get their garbage all the time. I'd love to get more. Give me some more Josh Norman. Give me some more Curtis Samuel out there to go out there and just do nothing. So let's go ahead and do that. But I am happy about the season coming up. I mean, do I think we're going to be a good football team and make the playoffs? Absolutely not. I
think you should be very excited, though.
I would. And I would be excited if you would shut up. So, I mean, it's a very tough, it's going to be a competitive division. I mean, even after CD signed yesterday, ESPN was showing that Vegas said the line was 9.5 wins was the over under. Nobody's going to put that out there if they think that, 1 million people are going to vote for the over or for the under or over and win it. I mean, apparently that's where they're expected to be. So, I mean, that could be a 9 or 11 win team somewhere in that. And so, I mean, I don't think we're going to be in that range whatsoever. I'm just looking for some improvement and I want some stability. There's a lot more hype this year than there was last year. We've got RG3 type hype now versus what we had before. So I like that. Everybody's favorite buzzword, the offensive line. Ours is not all that great. Jaden Daniels got beat up a whole lot at, he took I think it's he's already had 1,500 snaps or something like that. Something stupid.
Dude, why did you get that offensive line coach?
What
made
I
he
haven't
walked in there with his resume? What'd you do last year? Oh, I had the worst offensive line in history.
I wouldn't have
hired.
The only thing
Sure.
I'm optimistic about, or what I'm optimistic about the most, I'll say, is the offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury. Like, it's fun to watch. If you can get back to that, like I told you, the best Redskins teams that I like to watch was like when they had Brad Johnson as quarterback, but they would average 350 yards a game. It's fun to watch.
Cousins.
Yeah, I'm not. I want us to put up points. We need to put up points. I think our defense didn't really improve all that much, and now we might get some of the veterans being a little disgruntled. Now I pick up, Madden 99 Bobby Wagner back there, who's probably now like a 78 technically. A la Deion Sanders, Bruce Smith, Albert Haynesworth, and all that we did when we picked those guys up past their prime. Austin Eckler, he's like the number one fantasy guy for like 2 years straight, and now he's like, somebody's like third option on their fantasy team, and it's going to be for good reason too. But I like the players. Like, we're not known for getting big name free agents. So I like the optimism there around the offense, and I want to see it work, and I want to see it I want to see fun. We got a defensive minded coach, so I'm hoping.
Yeah. Oh, I just got disconnected.
Oh.
You guys see me?
It's probably for the better.
Hey, all I was going to say,
buddy.
If nothing else, you can always cheer for your real team, the Eagles, right?
No, if I was going to, no, absolutely not. No, I'm. Well, I mean, depends on who they're playing. Are they playing the Cowboys? Are they playing the Cowboys? Fly Eagles, fly.
Oh!
Minus
We
one.
have not
even get a point in 2 weeks.
the new rules of the Clashing Conferences podcast on this NFC East version yet, but now the producer has implemented something new here where the internal competition, which we haven't gotten into for season 2 yet either, but we build points. I'll get into more of that next week when we're actually starting it, but I think Paul might be starting at -1. We'll see. It's going to be producer's call.
Well, Steve wanted me to be the guinea pig to show it off, so I think he'll probably side with me that we wanted to get a good segue into that. And yeah, you like that?
I'd give him that because he ain't gonna get many points this year anyway. So
hey,
nothing to worry about.
I'm just looking to have fun, and improve. I wanted to be able to
say that suck.
I got to give you special recognition as last year when we did do the preseason predictions as having the most accurate and realistic prediction for the Redskins. You knew they weren't going to be great. You didn't sugarcoat it. You said exactly how it was going to go. That's how it went. A little different than Randy, who I found a text at one point predicting 15-2 for the Cowboys in the preseason at one point. I don't think Gregg's year went as well as he had hoped, and I don't think 5% of Topher's preseason predictions came true.
Do you have any proof of that? What did I say they were going to be last year?
Oh, man, where do you want me to start? Because I wrote a couple things down.
Yeah, but I know what happened, and you guys
have
laugh at me. But
I think you had them at 14 wins. I think.
Yeah, you just say your team is going to.
You had DJ as a top 3 quarterback to start the year. You were sending us memes comparing them to Mahomes, Rodgers, and Burrow.
No,
You sent us text messages at the beginning of the year comparing Jalen Hyatt to Tyreek Hill.
No, I was saying he was faster than him.
Yeah,
I was saying he was faster than him, and he is.
Well, that guy in the Olympics is too, but I'm not putting him on the team.
No, but nobody on your team drafted him and didn't know who he was. But I'm sure everybody knew who Dotson was, and I'm sure that they know who Hyatt is now.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No one knows who Jalen Hyatt is.
And nobody took Neighbors, so that's pretty dumb too. Like, that was stupid. Like Gregg's right. They're going to feed Neighbors the ball. That's an idiot. You draft with a bunch of morons.
That's the only good player you have. It's the only you don't have
not the only good player we have. Why wouldn't you take him?
You don't have
for fantasy football. Yes, it's the only good player.
You do not have a top 100 player on your team. We have 3. You don't have a single
top 100 players on our team. Like our Dexter Lawrence is, and Andrew Thomas is, and Brian Burns is. We talking about offense?
Yeah.
Fantasy football, you Don't draft defensive
I already proved it,
players.
Mike. Them numbers don't mean nothing.
Andrew, he did.
Because they're not in
I'll
your
tell you
favor.
this: ESPN did
Because
have a
it's
ranking
stupid.
of
It
the
doesn't
top
matter wins
100.
and losses in the NFL.
ESPN had a
It's
ranking of
fantasy.
the
That's why it's
top
called
actual
fantasy
100
football.
players in the NFL recently, and there were a couple Giants on the list.
There
Yeah.
I
absolutely
know. I
was.
know that Andrew Thomas was one of them.
Well, Brian Burns better be on there.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember who,
Burns
but there were a
probably was,
couple.
too.
There were a couple. So they're not fantasy players, but the Giants do have some good players.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
agree with that.
Now,
But
Mike,
God-
I just wanted to know what I predicted the Giants to be. They did have, 6 wins, and they were really banged up. A lot of bad things happened.
There's
What
the
did I say they were going to have?
asterisks. There's the
8 or 9?
asterisks.
Like, yeah, but that's the way it is, dude. And there's major injuries and there's non-major injuries. Every prediction we give tonight is going to be based on a pretty healthy overall. Guys are going to miss some games, but they're going to come back, right?
Home
That's
run,
what
Nick.
we're hoping for. DJ probably ain't going to play every single game, but I'm hoping he plays 14 of them.
Why would he not play the other two? Most of our
He might get, because he runs the ball a lot. They run RPOs. He might
Greg,
get
do you
banged
think
up.
Jalen's going to play every game?
Jalen, he might not.
I would say he plays most.
Most of
If he
them.
misses a game, I will be happy because that means we're making the playoffs and resting.
I think it's
He
pretty
might not go
common
and get hurt
anymore
week
for
2 and
most
twist his ankle.
quarterbacks to miss at least one game a year for some reason or another.
Yeah, I figure 1 or 2. Like,
Greg, watch this.
By the way, Phillies are up 4-0.
And that's what Nick Castellanos does whenever there's some big thing going on, podcast.
Well,
he always hits a home run. Always.
we
does.
don't really have a natural break point since we don't have the wheel this week, but I think that's the dumb shit for the first half now that we're talking about the filthies. So why don't we take a quick break and we'll come back here in a minute and we'll keep hashing out some preseason talk.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear about the Giants. It's gonna be awesome.
Dirty New Yorkers and their fans.
whatever you guys
That's for
whatever
Lewis.
you guys want.
That's for Lewis
got
and Matt, freaking dirty New Yorkers and their
I
fans.
love it.
We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Just a few quick reminders for everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And check out our fellow podcaster, Jim Montgomery, with This Day in Philly Sports History. Thank you.
All right, we are back with the second half. Little mini production meeting there at halftime, and I think we decided we're just going to have a little mix of different things and predictions and questions here in the second half. So I'm going to start off with an easy one for everybody. Give me your season prediction for your team. Give me a record. If you want to predict anything for a particular player or anything, that's fine. But at least give us what you're thinking for season record for each of you. Paul, let's start. Go round robin. Let's start with Paul.
I'd say for the Redskins, I do not anticipate a winning season. I definitely don't consider it, don't anticipate it being a disappointment. I'm actually looking forward to it, even if we don't win, half the games. It's still going to be better. I mean, like I said, we got hype like we had for RG3. There are some predictions in Vegas that it's, not too bad odds that Jaden Daniels could be Offensive Rookie of the Year along with Neighbors or Caleb Williams. So, I think the hype is there. I don't think he feels overhyped. He seemed relatively humble about it. He's not painting his nails and crap like that. But, and the players, he's got good rapport with a lot of the players. You're never going to hear him. Mike, I know we want to find that Sauce Gardner pick or video about talking about Daniel Jones, but I think when they get interviewed, it sounds pretty honest about what they're saying, that he's one of the guys. He's part of the team.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
Nope,
Dumb
not
shit.
at all. That was awesome. That was
We
absolutely.
can talk about that later if you want.
That was
dumb.
the most awkward 19-second pause I've ever heard in my life, and
Yeah.
I thought I was going to wreck
People
it.
don't understand what he was trying to.
Thought
what
I
he
was going to
laughing
wreck
at.
the car. He was trying to find something nice to say to prevent
That's not what he
making
was trying
bulletin.
to do. He was thinking how dumb the media is for asking stupid questions, like they talk about his beard, like
No,
the
he
kid
wasn't.
can't even fart without them talking about him. It's stupid.
So
Like-
back to my prediction, I would say that we probably won't win half our games, but I'm not going to say that that's going to be a disappointing season. there's going to be a lot of great things that can happen. We already got, new owner, new coaches. Not all of them would have been my first pick, but what do I know? I'm not a GM like Chris is. So
not a lot. We listened to all your takes last year.
I can't, but my takes were
His
amazing.
takes were right
about the Redskins, and nobody cares about them.
His takes were right about the Giants too.
Yeah. They fell apart in the first 3 weeks.
Your offensive line got hurt.
You say all his takes were wrong, but he's 2 for 2.
So I said a lot of things that were true. Let's talk about his Daniel Jones takes.
Not right about the Cowboys.
Stuff that he says.
All right, well, Chris, why don't you tell us? Give us your take on the Giants this year. What are we looking at?
I look at a very competent team that could compete and possibly make the playoffs. I think that they're healthy and that's how we all are hoping, right? Like I'm very optimistic. Mike, when you introduced me last year, I'm a diehard. I bleed blue, and
this is true.
I'm not going to go into the season looking at the bad. I'm going to look at the good. I'm going to see what they changed. I had high hopes last year because they made the playoffs the year before with nothing. A very mediocre. The whole podcast started because I said I don't think Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott could have took that team to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Daniel Jones did it with a very mediocre team. And every year since he's been in the league, he minimized his turnovers. He plays better. He's smart with the football.
Not last year.
And then I do this podcast with you guys, and his team just falls apart in the first 2 weeks. Everybody gets hurt. So this year, we definitely got a better roster than we did last year, and we definitely got a better roster than we had the year we went to the playoffs. Protect my boy. I think we're in the playoffs. So I got us a 10-7.
There it is, Mike. I see you got the highlighter out. We're going to remember
I want to say 9-8. I want to say 10-7. It's not great. They're not like one of the greatest teams. I think we're going to have a really good defense. Our secondary's young. Our defensive line, our front seven is going to be really good. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. It's going to be good against the run game. It's going to help our young secondary. And I think our offense is going to be like above average. I mean, they'll be where they need to be with a great defense. They're not going to be one of the high scoring 40, 45 points a game, but they're going to do enough to win, and our defense isn't going to get off a lot of points. I can see us winning 10 games.
The only issue I have with that is, and I do believe in your defense. I absolutely do. I also believe they're going to be on the field a lot, and I think that's not going to make them very happy.
Yeah, that's what happened 2 years. That's what happened with Wink. Yeah, that's what happened 2 years ago. That's why Wink was. Yeah, everybody told me my D sucked, and you guys said we stunk. I won the competition last year and got a lot of points because of my defense. They were on the.
You won.
They were on. Well, I did. I won. If you go back and look at the tape, I won, and I won a hat. So yeah, I won. And I gave it to Tony. And I gave it to Tony P.
That was
so.
Awesome.
Anyway, I think our defense was good, but their stats were bad, and you guys were ragging on me, and I was like, it's because they're on the field all the time because our offensive line sucks, and we have a backup or third string quarterback in.
Stop.
So, yeah, I think we're going to be very good, and I think we can compete.
You don't need to limit it to your offensive
100%.
line. Just say the offense is not very good.
You didn't have a really good receiver. Your running back was getting 8, 9 in the box every single play,
and we had a second or third string quarterback in.
Yeah, it was the same.
And
it was the same when you had your
and
first
then
string.
You started
and we had a better second half of the year than the Eagles, and we beat them 27-10 in a game that they could have had the division.
Mm-hmm. You had a second.
We were
string
a better football team
in.
than you last year when the season was over.
You had a second string quarterback in.
Probably a better football team than you.
Then Tyrod came in.
No, what do you mean Tyrod? What do you mean Tyrod's gone? They
what
obviously
last year
thought DeVito was better than Tyrod. That's why he's not there.
He played last year too, but you're not hitting on
a little bit.
The backup
and he
quarterback.
Cost us the game. We should have swept the Birds. Remember when Bobby was on? You guys were laughing at me and said, "Ooh, you guys think you're going to beat the Birds? We should have swept the Birds."
Well,
Tyrod Taylor cost us a couple games. We could have won. We could have went to the playoffs last year.
To be quite
with that terrible football team. We almost made the playoffs with a couple boneheaded plays by Tyrod Taylor.
To be quite honest,
we could have. We almost snuck in, dude.
Yeah,
there was a point.
We're gonna get off of last year. We're gonna keep looking forward. I gotta.
I'm
give
just
it to
telling you. Don't sleep on the
Chris.
Giants. Don't sleep on the Giants.
I know you were saying that last year too.
Us to sleep.
Yeah. Here's the one thing I'll give you that you changed.
You say I'm delusional.
Last year,
I'm telling you facts.
12 months ago, you were saying the Giants could be a Super Bowl team. And now you're down to saying the Giants could be a playoff team. I think that's much more realistic. I'll give you props because you are one of the biggest fans.
Super Bowl last year.
I have proof of that you were saying that the Giants could be a
I
Super
told
Bowl
you we
team
could have
last
competed
year.
for the division last year.
You
We
said
can
they
this
could
year.
compete for a Super Bowl. It's in writing.
Well, if you're in the playoffs,
That's not
you
the
are
point, though.
technically
That's not the
competing for a
point.
Super Bowl, aren't
The
you?
point is that
He
it
loves to
seems like
spin it.
you
The
are
Redskins
I
are
mean,
realistic.
competing
are
for.
you?
I'm competing
I'm
for a
giving
Super
you
Bowl
props
week 1.
for it. Let's go down
Everybody
to
is,
Randy.
but you're technically not unless you're in the playoffs.
Randy,
If you're in the
tell us how
playoffs,
the
you're competing for
Cowboys
a
are
Super
going
Bowl.
to do this year.
So, Chris, you said that it was your backup quarterbacks that were causing your defense to be on the field. I remember watching Danny Jones week 1
Who's
and
our offense in general?
watching
Terrible.
Danny Jones week 1 and 2 score
40-0.
0 points, and that defense was on the field with that starting quarterback the entire game.
But their offensive line got hurt.
Yeah, well, the defense was also a very young defensive unit, just playing together for the first time.
Sure.
It was pouring down
And
rain.
they were on the field the
Our left
whole
tackle got
time.
hurt.
And they were on the field
dude,
the
it
whole
was a
time.
very crazy.
So listen,
It was a nightmare. I'm hoping I don't see nothing like that ever again in 40 years.
Dallas Cowboys prediction this year. So you said that Vegas has got them at 9.5 wins. Last year, I think we scored a game and a half ahead of what the prediction was. I'd say that should be pretty close to what it's at this year. 11, maybe 12 wins, depending on how they play, depending on a lot of things. I don't think anyone in this division is outstandingly good, to be quite honest. But I think the Cowboys could get 11 to 12 wins. Obviously, injuries and all that can play into it. Dak's going into a contract negotiation year. Who knows how that ends? But I still think we have the talent that's there. I don't think we lost a lot of talent on offense. I know there's some offensive line changes,
Gain a lot,
but I think the offensive line is still solid to what they got. So yeah, I'd say 11, 12 wins. I think that I actually think they win a playoff game this year.
Ooh.
Prediction.
That's a prediction.
That's a bold prediction right there.
There you go.
Cowboys
good,
win
buddy.
a
That's
playoff
good.
game. I like that. Chris,
It's gonna
out of
be
all
against
of your...
the-
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you if that playoff game was going to be against the Eagles, Greg. What's your prediction?
You know what? It might be. I do got to say that out of all Chris's ranting and raving, he was right about one thing. His defensive line is going to be ridiculous. I think their defensive line is going to be awesome.
I think our front seven is going to be really good, but
I think their D backs and their safeties they're going to be their weak point. I think
Going to look like 2023 Eagles. You know what that looks like, Greg?
I know exactly what that looks like. Just trying to prepare my friend. I don't want another year of
I
disappointment.
do know it's going to be
heartache.
it's going to take a while, and I do like the fact that we don't start out the Cowboys week 1 like we have. I feel like they always do that to us for the first time in 10
what are you
years.
gonna
They
do
gave us a
if-
favorable start of the season. We got Minnesota, should beat them. Washington, going to beat them. And then we played Cleveland. Chubb's out the beginning of the season. We could literally start out 3-0, and then you know how confidence is when
Super
you
Bowl.
have a good,
And then there will be
but when you have a good
people,
coaching staff, which I think we have
you'll
the
be
best in
staring
the
at
division,
4 people hating life.
and I think winning careers a lot. You give Daniel Jones some
That's
confidence.
a good point. You start 3-0 like
go.
that, and there'll be 4 of us that know that that's just a fluke thing because of your schedule to start with.
Hey, I won't
And
be
there's
like
nothing we
Gregg
can do
and talk
about
about
it.
winning the Super Bowl because I told him all year it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But
Yeah.
I would love to start out 3-0, and I will not complain at all.
I don't think anybody here would complain if their team started off 3-0.
I'll take 2-1.
Realistically, yeah, I kind of agree with you with the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to land right in that spot where Randy talked about. I think it's going to be 10, 11, or 12 wins. I really do. I think that the Eagles, Vegas having the Eagles as the fourth, fifth best odds to win the Super Bowl. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That brings shades of Dream Team. And I remember that team, and it sucked. It was a bad year, and I don't want to relive that season. I also know that last year ended horribly, but I can tell you that we changed our whole offensive philosophy to fix that. We brought in a offensive-minded offensive coordinator that has head coaching experience and experience with offensive coordination, obviously, and just
got that.
Yeah, right. And, distributing the ball, you look at the numbers of Dak when Moore was there. You look at the numbers out in San Diego, the Chargers. It's there. Moore is a good offensive minded coach. That's why we brought him in. Kind of adding to that is
what
our
did him
defense.
and Dak win?
They had an
That wasn't even a dig. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
they didn't really win anything.
No, I think that year though. I think that was a very good year
Kellen Moore
offensively.
is a good offensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
I don't remember exactly what they had, but it was a good year.
He's a good offensive coach, and that's why we brought him in. I think when you look at our team defensively last year, it was bad.
And you got a lot of weapons. He'll have fun with that.
We changed our defensive philosophy. We added some pieces. We drafted a lot. We drafted a lot of young cornerbacks from Alabama. We got Cooper, DeJean from Iowa. We got the 2 top cornerbacks in the draft. They're young. They are. It's going to take some time. But we also brought in an old school defensive minded coach to help lead them. So I'm curious to see how it goes. Starting off the season, we got a tough schedule. We do. The first game's in Brazil on a Friday night against a good Green Bay team. And, we'll talk about that next week. But, I'm going to be happy if we have 11 wins. I'm thinking it's going to be 11 or 12. I'll say 12. I'll just go out and say it. And, kind of go from there. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting our offense to thrive. I mean, anywhere you have Saquon Barkley as a third option on a team and Dallas Goedert as the fourth option, I think the team's good.
There's only one football, though, buddy.
That's true. There's only one football, and I know we lost Kelsey. He's the heart and soul of the team, and I know that. But, moving Cam over to center and sliding the kid from the Jets over to play right guard, Methacton, we got a big offensive line, and I think we're going to just be able to pass protect.
I have a question. I'm trying to be polite.
One of the best right tackles in the league.
Well, I'm back, Chris. So I'll interrupt. I think.
That's not the way we do it here, Chris.
I was trying, Mike.
If the Eagles and the Cowboys both have 12 wins, let's say they do, or 11. One has 11, one has 12.
Let's not say they do. Let's say they didn't.
Well, I'm just saying, then that means that somebody else in the division can't have anywhere close to it.
That's true.
Most likely 2 peoples.
Go ahead, Chris. What's your question?
Hey, Paul, how great would it be if you and I were up top of the division this year and them 2 were down to bottom?
I think what Nick Wright said today
that's not my
is
question, by the way.
Completely asinine. And I think Nick Wright is the biggest clickbait sports guy out there. I'm sorry, Nick, if you watch us. I'm sorry, maybe we could have a beer with us sometime.
No.
But dude, your takes are outrageous, my friend. I don't know if you guys saw that.
He could actually be on this podcast and he can end his show because every time he talks, we could say there's that dumb shit again.
Oh, another -1 for Chris.
No, you're allowed to say shit.
You're allowed to say that.
Oh, okay.
That's our
sorry.
It's a catchphrase. But you got to say it right. You got to say it right.
I did. I'm the one who made it up.
You are just fine. Well, no what? You don't just, you didn't just make it up. It's like a hair club for men.
That's fine, dude. I'll take it however I can get it.
I'm also
I'll take it however I can get it. So here's my question. I'll take it however I can get it, brother. I got to get something.
Oh my God.
So here's my question. So Randy likes to rag on you about Pickett. I like to rag on you about Sirianni.
Yeah.
He is the head coach, so he's supposedly supposed to be the one making the calls on the field. What happens if you guys start off bad and him and Hurts have the same type of chemistry as they did the last 3 or 4 games where Hurts decides to call his own plays?
That won't happen.
And something stupid crazy happens.
That won't happen because
where he gets
Moore's
banged
there.
up and Pickett comes in and plays well. I'm just asking you.
No.
It won't happen because Moore is there.
Yes.
Moore is the offensive coordinator.
So they're not going to let the head coach make the call on who's the quarterback.
He already said he was relinquishing that.
Wow, you guys ain't going nowhere this year.
They already said it. They've talked about that over the summer.
You aren't going nowhere. You can't function like that.
I got another bold prediction for you.
You can't function like that. You can't function with your coach not making the call.
Mike Tomlin makes 0 offensive calls in Pittsburgh.
Mike Tomlin runs everything.
Mike Tomlin's also the king of mediocrity. Listen, in the end of it, I got a bold prediction.
What do you mean? He's never had an un 500 record.
Yeah, he's always 500. He's
always been 500 or better since he's been in the league. How is he a mediocrity coach?
500 is
he's one of the best coaches to ever coach.
500.
You're a moron.
500 is mediocrity.
Let's let Randy get in there.
So listen, here's what I want.
Dude, he's never been under 500 in his life.
He's 500 is mediocrity, Chris.
He's never been under 500 in his life.
Definition. Yeah, he's also never been a 12 team winning team. Listen, here's my prediction, Greg.
I don't even care. I really don't care about the Steelers.
Here's my prediction.
Fire away.
I actually think that Jalen Hurts isn't going to be starting for the full year. I think that either he gets hurt or he continues at the beginning of the season like he is. I think Kenny Pickett comes in and has a Nick Foles-like presence.
That's impossible, Greg said.
I didn't say it was impossible.
You just said it's never going to happen.
You are telling me that they're going to fight and Nick's going to bench him is basically what you said.
Randy, what did you just say? What's going to happen?
He said hurt, not fight.
He said hurt or
benched. In the end of it, I think, and I'm not saying because of a fight. I'm saying because of poor gameplay. To me, the Eagles have a history of this, and I think that halfway through the year, Kenny Pickett's going to be at least starting a game, and I think he's going to look pretty good. Kenny Pickett.
That's what I'm saying. What happens if he comes in and plays well?
The Eagles have a history of putting a backup quarterback in and actually evenly split.
What's the history?
He's got two fists for hands. That's all they are is fists.
I'm trying to say, listen, I'm trying to say.
Hands like feet.
I'm trying to say they have a history of putting a backup quarterback in.
Who, though?
The Eagles.
Saying the Eagles.
What's the history?
They put a backup.
Carson Wentz going down. I guess he's doing Carson Wentz
if you guys
towards ACL. Stop interrupting me, I'll tell you.
So what are we not going to put in a quarterback?
Listen, you guys have a history.
You do have a history of saying the quarterback's going to be like the greatest and then get rid of him in like a year and a half.
Shut up.
I feel like Randy's listen is becoming Chris's look it up.
Listen.
Look it up. Look it up. Listen.
Randy, send me a text message. Just text it in.
Look it up.
All I'm saying is the history is they put in a backup quarterback and the Eagles actually spread the ball around the field because they don't have confidence in the backup, and it actually works. That's the only time.
And then he's their next best thing. He's their next favorite guy for a couple of years.
The only time it works for the Eagles is when they spread the ball out properly, and they only do it when they have a backup quarterback in.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So Carson Wentz having an MVP season, tears his ACL. Nick Foles comes in. We weren't supposed to let Nick Foles play?
I'm saying Nick Foles comes in.
You had no
Nick
choice.
Foles comes in, and what do? They spread the ball around.
Wins us the Super Bowl.
However, that's probably when they should have just kept Nick Foles and let Carson Wentz go after he won the Super Bowl. Wasn't that something they probably should have done?
Listen, I'm not saying Pickett's better than Hurts. I'm saying the way they use a backup quarterback, the way they use running backs when they have a backup quarterback is better. The Eagles every year, Greg, you know this, overplay, overpass. Do not run enough unless they have a backup quarterback in.
Okay. That's a bold prediction. Kenny Pickett leading us to the playoffs.
So, Mike, are we going to give our predictions for all the teams now or all of our teams in the division next week? Are we going to do the divisions next week?
Are you saying to rank them, Chris?
No, I'm just saying like the NFC East. So we each give our division.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. I was gonna ask for Super Bowl predictions from you guys. Yeah, I was gonna ask you for Super Bowl prediction. We'll do that and we'll get out of here. I mean, we gave your own team predictions. Okay. Now let's step back for a second. Let's take a big picture, whole NFL look. We're gonna get out of here shortly, but before we do, give me Super Bowl predictions. What do you guys think? Who has one ready?
I do. I do. And just because I don't want to, eat my words to your buddy, I forget his name, the Green Bay fan. I would say Green Bay, but I don't want to eat my words. So we're going to say Detroit Lions, and Kansas City. Wow. Kansas City. I think Kansas wins it again.
Okay.
Listen, San Francisco is not going to be good this year. There's my prediction.
I like it.
Interesting.
Paul, you look like you had one ready.
It's Kansas City. Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be a repeat of the AFC Championship with the AFC with the Ravens, and I think the Ravens. I'm hoping they show up like they do the previous years, but I got a feeling they might be a little bit better this time. But I still think Kansas City squeaks it out.
With Houston and Cincinnati at full strength, you really think Baltimore is going to be there?
I don't want them there at all.
They could,
but I do. I do think they will be.
I can get mine next.
Houston is Houston is good, but we gotta again. There's only one ball.
Yeah, and
Chris, are you sure?
listen,
I was counting on you being the dumb
no,
shit to get us out of
I
here.
got Chris's. I got Chris. I got yours for you. It's going to be the Giants, and it's going to be Buffalo.
That's why I was counting on Chris to go last.
Nah, I'm not going to say that. I think we're going to be in the playoffs, but I don't think we're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Chris.
Playoffs. Now I think I'm going to go with my Madden pick. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I like Lamar. I'm sick and tired of KC. It's unfortunate. I think KC will probably be better this year than they were last year, and they still won the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to go with them because I'm a hater. And I'm going to go with Baltimore because I kind of like Lamar. And I don't know who they're going to play yet. I don't know. Hopefully the Giants.
Love it. God,
what do you got?
So maybe we should have ended with me.
Yeah, we should. We just need to get out right now. Yeah, I think you guys are all
just hopeful.
I think you guys are all hitting the nail on the head here. I think Kansas City got better talent-wise, and they won the Super Bowl last year. I think there's a lot of turmoil in San Francisco. I don't think San Francisco is going to be great. I think they might make the playoffs, but if they don't have that left tackle and they don't have that second receiver or their first receiver, to be honest with you, they're not going to make waves, in my opinion. I think the Bengals are going to be talented. I think they're going to be good. Baltimore, I think, is Baltimore and Kansas City are the teams in the AFC to win.
Henry thing.
I think, I don't know. I think Baltimore is going to be good. I think Kansas City is going to be great. NFC, I think the Lions are going to be good again. I really do. I think Green Bay can be talented. I think the Eagles are in there as well. I don't know what Cowboys we're going to have. I really don't. It's going to be interesting to see. They don't really have much of running backs, but they're talented with CD. CD's a great receiver. Top, in my opinion, one of the best in the league. So
I would actually agree with everything you just said.
Oh, look at that. Mark it down.
Like I already said the AFC, but the NFC analysis I would say is where I feel I'm aligned with that.
Yeah. I think the X factor, in my opinion, at Kansas City for the Chiefs is the kid from Texas. I think that kid
Xavier Worthy.
Worthy is
speedster,
fast.
yeah,
and he's Tyreek Hill's speed, and I think they now found their next Tyreek Hill with Rashee Rice, with Pacheco. Like I don't see many teams, beating them. So yeah, unfortunately, it's probably gonna be the Chiefs again.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants the Chiefs to win again, but I think they're easily the odds-on favorite to three-peat, and until they prove us wrong, there's not too much you can say. They didn't get worse.
No, they definitely
got better.
So, we got a week or 10 days here, and then we get our first games of the year, and we start figuring this all out. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to season 2 with you guys. Everybody listening, please help us out. Like and subscribe. We appreciate all the support through season 1. We appreciate all the support through all the different variations of this Clashing Conferences podcast that different crews have done, and all the support we've gotten throughout. So thank you. And we'll be back next week to start looking at week 1.
Go Birds.
Stay true to the game, folks.